Hi, this is Jim, and this is Second Chance, a Moped podcast. And welcome everybody to another week of Second Chance Moped podcast. I imagine some of you have seen this already. I just got the Moped Rich calendars in, and I put some teaser pics up there. And know what's awesome? Conan got on the cover because that boy, I don't know too many people who are working as many hours, wrenching and pumping out as many bikes. Now, Conan and I, we probably work the same amount of hours, probably doing the same amount of hard work, but that boy is pumping out bikes left and right. The Lomos got on the fucking cover of Moped Rich calendar this year. It's so fucking awesome, dude. I'm so happy for that guy. Snuck a couple Minnesota bikes in there. You guys have seen by now on the Instagram feed, a Second Chance, a Moped podcast. The Instagram feed is Second Chance Pod. Second Chance Pod. Why I came up with that, I don't know, but now I can't fucking change it because it is forever etched in history. At least it is for a year on Moped Rich's calendar because my Grand Prix got in there. Yeah, dude, it's fucking cold in Minnesota, and I haven't wanted to do shit other than like go to work, maybe work out a little bit. Yeah, that's about it. It is what it is, man. We're in the dog days of winter. I don't think that is a thing, but I did see something promising tonight when I came home before I was going to record this. I saw dusk at 6 p.m., which is fucking awesome, dude. That is like the ray of hope because once you can see a little bit of light at 6 p.m., dude, we're on the uphill swing. I'm so fucking happy. And yeah, just fucking rad shit's happening in mopeds. I'm getting excited for the Zeros swap meet that's coming up. I guess they're gonna do another show with Jason from Moped Monday, and that's fucking rad. I hope they get on there, get more word out. Can't wait to see those guys in a month or so. I know Mars is flying in for that, which is fucking rad. Yeah, just it's gonna be good. We're all gonna get together and it's gonna be fun. And that's, mopeds are silly and they're stupid, and we should never take this shit too serious because we're playing with fucking children's toys, people. We're playing with children's toys, and it's just have fun like kids, because like that's the way I get like with mopeds. Like I kind of I'm slowly putting my Hobbit back together, and I don't know if I said this on my other podcast. Here's a pro tip. Car washers don't work for shit on fucking rear wheel grease. I will just say that because I fucking brought my mags to the car wash, and I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna take my frame and wash it. I'm gonna what? $4.25 later, fucking nothing's clean for shit. And I was like, fuck this. I'm just gonna take it home. I mean, it got the first layer off, but like, the gunk engine degreaser that you get in the spray bottle, not the aerosol, but the spray bottle you can get at O'Reilly. That is the greatest, like, first clean wipe down product for mopeds. Like, it's so fucking good. I can't stress it enough. But yeah, life's rad. I don't have a good segue. I was gonna be all witty and stuff about a few things, but I'm not going to. I'm just gonna introduce my guest. He's in the very first moped club of MA, which is rad because like if it wasn't for Kalamazoo, would this be a thing? Or would this just be a bunch of independent things bantering at each other on a bunch of different Facebook groups or MySpace groups at the time? So I will always like and respect the founders of the early days of mopeds. And I'm just going to have my guest introduce himself.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Mike with the Decons. Been a Decon since, I don't know, 2004, 2005, something like that. So definitely been around the game in and out for the last almost 20 years.
Right on, Mike. Okay, here on Second Chance Moped Podcast, we go through people's moped journeys, i.e. the very first time they saw a moped to the smile ride and kind of their progression, middle part and the end. So, Mike, let me ask you, what is the very first memory you have of a moped? Not necessarily getting it on, but like the first time you can, even as a kid, remember, hey, what's that noisy little weed whipper thing with wheels?
So it would have been probably in the early mid '90s. My
Hmm.
grandfather had a race car, and we'd go down to the racetrack all the time.
Now,
Um,
Now, I love to watch cars turn left. What kind of race car? We talking drag racing? We talking dirt? We talking?
Drag race. He had a
Okay,
74 Ranchero that would do a quarter mile in about 9.5 seconds.
dude, that's moving. Yeah, that's fucking
It's
moving.
so, but I remember hanging out in the pits and, seeing all these little bikes, most of them were little shitty scooters, sprees or whatever. And, he had a pit bike, a little spree that he let me rip around.
Hmm.
So, saw that, but then there were a couple of, Nopeds and otherwise, but those were kind of in the periphery, never really, you know, thought much about them. Just thought, hey, this is stupid. I'm cool. 12 years old, just hauling ass around the racetrack,
Yeah,
ripping up and
dude.
down the sidewalk at his house, stuff like that. Um, but then flash forward a few years, I was in college at Western in Kalamazoo, and around 2002, had no car. I was, pushing a pedal bike around campus, and saw these stupid little pedal bikes with motors all over the place,
Hmm.
and was pretty much instantly hooked. You know, Poor college kid, couldn't really afford anything, just kind of threw that in the back burner there, and about a year later, really started seeing more of them, and really there's the Rocket Star. Hung out there and drank a lot of coffee shop that was owned by Dan Kastner, one of the first decons.
Okay.
They would meet there on Sundays for rides, and seemed like everybody was always hanging out there. So through that, I got involved with some of the club members, again on the periphery. Um, but first time I actually got on a real moped would have been the day I bought my first bike. It was a '79 Motobecane 50V.
Oh, dude,
Um,
you had punishment just asking for it right away, didn't you?
Absolutely. For probably the first 10 or 12 years, all I ever played with were French bikes. So, I
Dude,
had
that's
that little bit of
awesome.
voodoo.
Yeah, yeah, dude. No, that's rad. It's kind of like throwing the kid in the deep end of the pool. Like, just fucking do it. Like, rip off that. Like, I went variated right away. So, I mean, and you went like PhD level of variation. So, fucking rad, dude.
Well, it didn't stay stock for very long. But again, this was the early days, so there wasn't a whole lot of anything that we could do.
Yeah.
Um, but so I bought the bike from 1977 Mopeds. This was their old shop,
Hmm.
old shop. I don't know. Doesn't really matter. So I rolled in there, and Dave B was working the counter. That was a venture between Dave B and Dan at the
Hmm.
time, and they had two bikes for sale. Right, they had a red 50V with the double seat, and then they had a Puch Newport with a big ass goofy windscreen. So it was 450 for the Motobecane and 475 for the Puch. And I'm sitting there like, dude, I'm super broke. I don't even know what I can do. Definitely didn't have the money. So,
Yeah.
I was talking to my girlfriend at the time. We've been married now for like 16 years.
Awesome,
She's like,
dude.
absolutely not. Do not get this. This is stupid. You can't afford it. Where are you going to put it? Being the voice of reason, right? Like we
Yeah.
were living together. Like you can't, we're scraping by to make rent and everything.
Mm.
Uh, so then I called my brother, who I don't have a great relationship with. He was like,
Yeah,
"Hey, dude, you want to float me like $400?"
yeah.
So, my brother throws me $400, and I go up there and I'm talking to Dave, and I remember one of the first things I said to him was, "Man, my girlfriend's going to kill me when I get home." And then I hand him $450 and jump on this Motobecane. So
It's
it was
fucking
it was
awesome,
awesome. It
dude.
was the best 25 miles per hour that I'd ever done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So shot around town for a little while in that. It was great to have a way to get to and from class that was easier than biking or walking.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
dude. Definitely.
but at that point, I was determined to force my way in and make everybody think that I was cool.
Hmm.
So I spent a lot of time, like going up to 77s and be like, "Hey guys, what's that thing you got there? What are you working on? Oh, you want to talk to me about mopeds? You want to tell me how to do something cool? What can I do to make this thing faster? You want to help me make it faster, right?" So, we threw a Shaw on there, a 15, and away we went.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, in those days, if you saw a kid with a bi-turbo on his bike, you knew he was super hot shit, right?
Yeah, dude, that's like everybody still talks shit a little bit about bi-turbos, but like from my understanding, the bi-turbo is still the greatest pipe for a stock Tomos. Like it's just they're just match made in heaven. And was that like that weird two-piece bi-turbo that I've heard about in the early days? Like there's some goofy, I think Graham from Moped Factory in the Cranks was talking about there's a weird two-piece bi-turbo out back in the day.
Uh, so these ones were not. This was back in the day too, where it's like you'd talk to the guys at the shop. This was before treats and everything, and you'd throw them $100 for a pipe or whatever, and you'd wait
Mhm.
for 4 months.
Yeah,
So there was limited part flow and stuff like that. But the first couple of years, it was well, I ended up getting patched in at the end of that year, so that would have been like 2005.
what was the now that always fascinates me for the decons. What was the early day of prospecting like? And like, yeah, want to just talk about that a little bit?
So yeah, at that point we didn't have. Now we've got a set of bylaws, and things are a little more regimented. Back in the day, it was hey, come and hang out. We'd hang out at the coffee shop. We would ride every Sunday. Um, and at that point, the decons were like 40, 45 deep.
Hmm.
So there were, factions within, little groups here, cliques there. Um, but pretty much it was you come out, you ride, you wrench, you make it to a rally. And at that point, we were throwing our Memorial Day rallies every year.
Okay.
So you get to a rally, and then they would throw a vote. It wasn't super rigid or anything. Not that we are terribly rigid these days, but
Yeah.
it was real laid back. Um, so I got patched in the end of that year. I'd been hanging out with the guys for, I don't know, 4 months, something like
Hmm.
that. First rally would have been, I want to say it was MA Barbecue 11.
Hmm.
It was 10 or 11. Um, that rally was an absolute shit show. I ended up breaking my elbow at that rally, and running from the cops during the no rules race. And
That's awesome.
yeah, it was we wrecked at the beginning of the race, and it was me and three other guys, something like that. Hurried up and pushed stuff out of there, and I got my bike over to the 77 shop. This is when they were on the walking mall. Fixed the bike. I hurting like hell. 3 days later, I finally I couldn't take it anymore. I went to the hospital, and they're like, "Yeah, dude, you've been rolling around on a broken elbow. You can't ride your moped anymore.
Yeah.
Until it heals or whatever." So again, no other means of transportation. So it was pull my arm up out of the sling when I get to where I was, or get on the bike and ride somewhere. Get to
Hmm.
where I'm going, hurting like hell. Put my arm back in the sling, go around classwork, whatever.
Dude, I totally hear you on that. Like, Marie from the Casserolers through the Moped Pizza Party thing. She did a thing Memorial Weekend, and I fucked up riding my. I was somehow became one of the blockers, and it was a weird camber in the road. Long story short, I ended up wheeling a little bit. That washed me over to the curb and fucking hung up. And I jumped and fucking landed right on my elbow, like threw my bike into a tree basically and landed on the boulevard. And that was my whole thought the whole time, like, please don't fucking be broken. Please don't fucking be broken. Like, I ended up putting my arm in a sling for the rest of the night, and I woke up the next day and like rode around a stock moped for the rest of the weekend.
Uh, yeah, it's fun. I'll tell you what, it's been quite a while, and I still have problems with my elbow. Right? Tell you when
Yeah.
it's going to rain for sure.
Yeah.
But no, the early rallies, man, those were a lot of fun. You know what I mean? It was, like I say, mostly stock bikes. There were a couple
Hmm.
kitted, a couple stock modified, stuff like that. But nothing like you see today. Um, but that kind of reminds, like, it.
So
I
what
think
you're
it was
saying
barbecue.
is there wasn't a need for a lot of gas stops.
No, no.
Versus like people with hobbits who are kidding, like, dude, I'm getting 22 miles in the tank. We gotta stop. Like,
No, I didn't get my first bike until much later. Just kind of throw it. I threw a 74 Parma on my AV7,
yeah,
and I did that the night before one of our rallies in Kalamazoo. I'd already moved out of town,
yeah.
so I'm like, yeah, what the hell? Let's throw a kit on it and see what it does. And of course, no break-in, just going at it. And
Dude,
we're
I
about,
wonder how many people through time. Oh, night before rally, let's re-kit a bike. Fuck it. Like,
yeah, well, that one didn't end so well. Like it's the only time I've ever ended up in chase at a
mm,
rally. Um, I thought I seized. Turns out I ran out of gas because
ah,
a kitted bike wants to drink a little bit more than your stock stuff, right?
yeah, yeah.
But um, no, some of the old days, man, like the I think it was barbecue 12, something like that. The Bourbon Bandits had come up, and
Hmm.
at that point it was like um, Jesse and three other folks. I can't remember who all was there the first year, and like I was riding around and I see this van with a trailer, and like I don't know, there was I want to say a VLX on there and a Starflight, and I'm like, who the hell are these people? They looked super lost, pulled them over and was like, hey guys, what's going on? Turns out they had driven up from Louisville, had no place to stay, no idea what was going on with the rally, none of the information.
Yeah.
So they crashed with me that year, right? Next year they came back, they rolled like 12 deep, and they
Nice.
were they were on their way to becoming official at that point, or they had just become official. Housed 12 of those guys, and of course they brought a bunch of bourbon up, and we're in my small apartment and all
Your
sorts of
wife is
smelly.
really impressed at this point, I'm guessing.
No, she was all about it. They were
Okay.
super cool, like really really good house guests.
Nice,
It
dude.
was I mean, as much as 12 people, coming and just crashing your two-bedroom apartment can be, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Um, Out of town rallies back in the day were stupid and big fun.
Hmm.
Again, riding stock bikes. Like I rode out to I think it was Bling BQ 2 or 3 out in Chicago with Petty Cash.
Yeah.
Rode a stock. Oh, what the hell was I on that day? I don't even remember what it was. Maybe a Gorelli that I
Hmm.
borrowed from somebody because I had ridden out to Red October 2, the year before,
Hmm.
and the Motorbicane was definitely not great for stuff like that. We got caught in a rainstorm and stuff like that. You know what a belt drive bike is
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
rain. So no, it was always big fun, man. Those early rallies when it was just the Wild West. It was always good stuff.
Yeah, stuff probably wasn't quite as formatted as it is today.
No, it was super super loose. Like nobody had any idea what the hell was going on.
Yeah.
You know, I remember sitting in a garage. I want to say it was Kurt from Petty Cash, his place, and he was building a bike right before the rally or during the rally because that's
Yeah.
how it goes, right? You're hosting. Why not slap something together?
Exactly, dude. Yeah, let's
So
not shake anything down. We'll just send it. That shit makes me so happy. So you're talking about like getting in the little nucleus of the Midwest there. You're hitting some stuff in Michigan. You're hitting petty cash. When was the first time you like would say you went a distance to go to a rally in your early years? Like, because this is still the very early days of Moped Army. So like,
yeah, it would have been like 2006, 2007. I never really traveled super far.
well, you
I
don't
mean, I
need to.
was
You're in Michigan, dude, because like you got
right.
35 clubs. I mean, and that's the bummer about me going to Michigan. Like, I want to hit some Michigan stuff, but like it's 12 fucking hours. Like, basically, by the time I go around, I mean, I even looked at the damn ferry, and like I might take that once or twice across the lake.
Yeah, I mean, I've pretty much stuck to Midwest stuff, right?
Hmm.
Chicago a couple times, Grand Rapids, obviously lots of Kalamazoo rallies. Even when I didn't have a bike, even when I was retired and
Hmm.
had left the group, um, Ann Arbor, when I we'll get to that in a second. Toledo, all that. So that was right about the time, like 2007, I think, is when I moved out of Kalamazoo, which was super hard. But we moved to Ann Arbor, so it was like I'd moved to another town with a branch, right, and just
Hmm.
kind of started hanging out with the guns. Eventually, ended up becoming a gun.
Okay.
They were cool dudes, but it wasn't the same feel, right? I mean,
Hmm.
each group kind of has their own thing. So I rode with them for a couple of years, helped out with a couple of the Red October rallies. Those were always a lot of fun, going out to the cider mill and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but I think it was the end of Red October 4. maybe 5. That's when I put my retirement in. I hung it up.
Now,
Um,
how come? Were you just was it you're just kind of burnt out of bikes? You kind of just job or that always kind of because I got into mopeds late, if you will, compared to some people. Like I got into like there was something I'd been looking for, whether I knew it or not. But like I got into mopeds when I was like 36, 37, 30, no, God, mid 30s. We'll say that it doesn't fucking matter. But like, and I'm still in love with it just as much as I was. I mean, the first time I got that smile right now.
so yeah, I mean, like kind of the reason, the guns were a super tight group, and I always kind of felt like a bit of an outsider.
Hmm.
Um, and life was starting to get crazy. I had taken a couple years off of school and was getting ready to go back and finish up my degree and working full time and all this. So it seemed like the right thing to do, the right time. Changes in life and stuff like that. Um, that said, I always kind of hung out and maintained communication with the guys in Kalamazoo, and anytime the decons would throw a rally, I'd show up.
Yeah.
Um,
No,
there
did you
were
say, not to interrupt you, but did you like, and I can totally identify like always feeling like an outsider, never being a part of. Um, did you sell your bikes at this point or good?
No, I've never really sold any of my core bikes.
Hmm.
Um, so I mean, I would always like wheel and deal stuff. If I could find something cheap and pick up a $50 Motobecane, polish a turd, and pass it off to somebody else. But I
Yeah.
kept everything. At that point, like when I moved from Kalamazoo, we rented a 26-foot U-Haul to move a small 2-bedroom apartment because the last 8 feet were all mopeds. I think I had like 10 bikes when I moved.
That's a,
Um,
that's awesome. Good.
but
Good for you for having priorities. Okay. That's what I have to say about that.
but then I always still hung out and would go to rallies and stuff like that, even without a bike that was running or without bringing a bike.
Hmm.
Um, like when the decons threw Salute Your Ports, that was a super cool rally. I don't know if anybody's been on and talked about that, but
I've heard some stuff about, I heard it was fucking wild. Like I've heard it was pretty wild. It was pretty, yeah.
so pretty much long and short of it, there was this old Girl Scout camp
Hmm.
that we were able to rent the entire grounds for next to nothing. And this was a joint venture rally. It was, the Decons and the Ghost Riders put it together. And I want to say Motion Left gave some help in there as well. Um, but yeah, there were just tons of people that just descended on this. It was like one of the early camping rallies, everybody getting together. Um, Met Andy Scouten that weekend for the first time from Toledo.
Yeah.
Uh, Super fun. So he brought a boat out with him and was out on the water. He registered early and just took his boat out, and then nobody heard from him for hours and hours and hours. Um, Later on that night at the party, right? Like some phone calls start blowing up around midnight, and they're like, "Hey, is anybody sober?" What? Well, Andy got arrested, and he's getting sprung from jail, and we need somebody sober to go pick him up.
Oh wow.
And there were 150 200 people there, and I think I was the only sober person. So I don't
Awesome.
drink, straight edge kid, right?
Yeah,
So I'm like,
I defaulted into straight edge. I jokingly tell people I had to get sober when I was 19 and I quit smoking after my moped accident. So like I don't do shit either myself.
so yeah, it was interesting. I jumped in my car with one of Andy's buddies that I can't remember his name. I haven't seen the dude since, but we drove like 20 miles down the road to pick him up from jail. So he's walking. They finally cut him loose, and he was walking back towards the campground, or at least in the general direction, wearing like a pair of swim trunks, flip flops, and I think he had a life jacket, and that was it. Like no shirt.
I could fucking see Andy just walking with his head kind of down low and yeah.
So yeah, that was a wild weekend. One of the other decons built a foam machine. So in the middle of the woods, we had like a foam dance party.
Fucking
Super
awesome.
gross.
Yeah.
Um,
Not
it was
sticky at
that was
all.
no, it wasn't terrible or awful at all. Um, but yeah, that was a super fun rally. That came back actually a few years later. I made it out to MCR when they were doing one of their early zombie rides,
Hmm.
and I actually think I blew one of Andy's bikes up. So I just ridden out there with So even when I was retired, I was still, trolling the message boards and, helping folks in the community out, trying to help them build bikes or whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
And I'd met Andrew Clark, one of the Clark brothers,
yeah,
and was
yeah,
helping him
dude.
with a Motorbicane.
Okay.
And then heard about the zombie rides. I'm like, hey, dude, what are your thoughts on just going out and hanging out with the MCR crew? So we went out to the old Nasty, and you know, Andy comes by. He's like, hey, we're getting ready to go for a ride. I'm like, all right, well, we're just gonna hang out. We didn't bring bikes or anything. He's like, did I say anything about needing a bike? We're getting ready to go for a ride. Get yourself ready.
Yeah,
So he threw me on I want to say it was a kitted Marini, one of his race bikes or whatever.
yeah, yeah.
And temperature dropped like 30 degrees from the time we took off to the time we got back to the shop. And
Oh, that's rough.
yeah, I soft seized like a handful of times on this, uh, hen's teeth kit, right? What are you
Yeah,
going to find for a Marini, right?
yeah.
But, totally cool about it.
I was gonna say Andy probably took it all with a smile, like, "Oh, dude, it's mopeds, no worry." Like Andy, dude, yeah, I love Andy and Sarah. Like both those kids, like whatever they need, I love. Like they're great people.
Super awesome people. Yeah, for sure. Um, So anyhow, I went to a couple other rallies, MA20, showed up to that shit show. Didn't have a bike with me. I borrowed a motorcycle from a friend. I was just ripping around on a motorcycle all weekend.
Yeah, yeah,
So, in and out, and I saw all the stuff going on. I'm like, man, I don't want to have any part of this. Sorry to anybody that was there and had a shitty time, but
I just hear all these secondhand stories, and I'm like, that actually sounds like a great rally. Except for like Ryan, like I'm buddies with Ryan after his accident. Like he sent me pictures. Like right, I love Ryan. But like other than that accident, dude, like I love catastrophes, and it's not like everything about that, like from people who were there and actually like getting beer because there was no beer or party, like I would have just been smiling the whole time because again, I love catastrophes. But
oh,
yeah,
there's no denying it was an absolute shit show.
yeah,
Um, that said, it was a good time because it was, a rally, and how is
yeah,
it not going to be a good time, right?
yeah, exactly. Like I always tell people, you can make anything fun. If you have 15 of your buddies, you can go to the shittiest bar in the world and it'll be a blast because you're with 15 of your buddies. So it's like, yeah, dude, there's no bad times at a rally unless you get in an accident. But either that, pick up and go.
Right. Well, I mean, so shitty times with some of your good friends, right? That's kind of what brought me back to mopeds.
Oh,
So
really? That's awesome. Some people
so yeah,
probably
well,
quit mopeds because of MA20. I mean, the yin and yang, my guy.
so yeah, we'll just snap it forward. It was like
Yeah.
2018
Okay.
when I started to get back into this. So um, there's a car road rally that I run called Chop Top Challenge.
Okay.
And so the premise of this is you take a car that was never a convertible, you cut the roof and windshield off, and it's a cross country photo scavenger hunt in March. So it takes
Oof.
off, or in the past, it had taken off from Chicago,
Yeah.
gone to Vegas, gone to New Orleans, gone to Miami, Austin, Texas. Um, it's funny because it's super moped heavy.
Hmm.
So there's like four teams that are old moped guys. Like the last year that I ran the rally, so the event is organized and run by a former bourbon bandit.
Okay.
There's Richie from KFC has run a car. There was a team from old Petty Cash guys that
Hmm.
that put a car together a couple years ago. Decons have two or three guys with cars. So I took my daily driver and cut the roof off of it
Dude,
because
that's so
it
awesome.
it was a $500 piece of shit, just like all my mopeds and stuff like that. And it
Yeah.
wasn't running right. So I bought a new car and just fucking cut this one and drove it across the country. Um, but it really reminded me how much I love working on stupid things and doing dumb stuff with
Yeah.
cool people.
Hmm.
So, after I got back from Chop Top, uh, a guy at work gave me a Hobbit to rebuild. So I got that for him, put everything back together. I'd had a Pook sitting in the garage that a buddy of mine bought years before. I did a full rebuild on that. And I'm like, all right, well, I guess it's time for me to do something for myself.
Hmm.
So I called Brad Hale up because he'd put out there that he had a couple of Tomos that he was
Okay.
looking to offload. I was like, well, I don't have a whole lot of expendable income right now, but I do have this guitar I don't play. What are your thoughts? So we made a trade. I got 2 boxes of Tomos motors and a frame and a half for a guitar. Uh,
Nice.
you know, I'd never worked on a Tomos a day in my life. Like I said, I'd pretty much only ever played French.
Mm-hmm.
So I threw that shit in the back of my truck and went out for run of the mill, the
Okay.
Decons rally.
Yeah.
And in true fashion, the first day of the rally, I'm building a bike out
Of
of
course you are.
who knows what parts, right? Never
Yeah.
having played Tomos anything. And I'm sitting here with a Dremel, like cutting windows and in pistons for an A3 to throw an A35 jug on there. And, just all
Yeah.
these parts that I've got. Fuck, let's go for it.
Fucking send it, dude. Yeah.
So, I got the bike together and, everybody's like, oh, it's not going to run. It's not going to run, whatever. It wasn't a big deal. I had Choppy with me too. So I was just going to drive that as chase
Mm-hmm.
if I couldn't get a bike together. Word of note, the VM16 it doesn't take the same jets as the VM18. So I couldn't jet
That's
this
a
bike.
hiccup about Makunis. They're all fucking different, dude. Like the BM16 to 18 to 20, all different jets. Like that's why I love Pellinis.
Right. So it came down to I couldn't get the bike tuned. I got it so it would run and I could, kind of hand feather the air intake and kind of get it to go, but it wasn't going to happen for a long ride.
Yeah.
So somebody threw me a loaner bike and I ripped around at the rally and, got the bike together. That next summer got together with, I think it was right around that same time actually that I had sent a message to the admins of the Decon. So Dave and I don't know, whoever else was running it and was like, hey, can you move me from being a guns retired to being a Decon retired? Because at this point, it seems more fitting, right? I'd feel better being buried with my people.
Yeah.
I ended up getting a back patch sent in the mail, and they said we made a vote, and you're a scout. You don't have the option to be retired. So all right, finally got the bikes together and running, and started hanging out with a lot of the Ipsy crew. I was living in Ipsy at the time, so we would
Love
have
the
weekly
no-nos.
rides with some of the no-nos, and then Andrew Clark, a couple of
yeah, Clark Ballers are great, dude. They're like just good people.
Absolutely amazing people.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic.
Yep.
So reconnected with those guys. There's some unaffiliated folks around Ipsy that are super awesome. And then a couple MCR guys, and we would have weekly rides with anywhere from like 5 to 15 people, which was super cool.
That's fucking awesome, dude.
Actually, I want to give a shout out to one of the guys in Ipsy that has been really awesome, dude, and helped the Decons out. So our buddy Tyler or Ty was skateboarding on the Decon. Decons have a mini ramp.
Okay.
Because what's a great idea for mid-late 30s dudes, just skateboarding.
Yeah.
He shattered his ankle and took a bunch of reconstructive surgery. And Matthew Mitchell, man, this dude's awesome. He donated a bike to a raffle to help pay for Ty's medical bills.
Dude, that's awesome. I remember seeing this raffle, and that was somewhere right in the time frame of my moped accident. Like I remember seeing like just being really touched that the moped community did that for somebody who was injured. That's so fucking awesome.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, man. The community of this is just unreal. You know what I mean? Again, like you say, it's dudes playing with stupid toys, right?
Yeah. So,
but yeah, after coming back with that, man, it's been super cool coming back and back into the fold, and having a little more age on me, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, I talk to these dudes. We're 120 miles away. I talk to them literally every single day.
Yeah.
It's just finding people that are solid like that. You know what I mean? Like it's super cool.
Well, it's weird because sorry. You click with who you click with. I mean, that's the goofy thing about, like, I have people across the country, like, we talk mopeds 3-4 times a week, and like I don't do that with a lot of people locally. I mean, it's just how it is. But you talked about coming back in, like, what is mopeds like for you right now during the after times of Rona and whatnot? Has that been just, have you guys been getting together still, or like what's that whole existence? Because like I was talking to somebody, like, I think it was Richmond, somebody or something like that. They're like, we have a ton of people here that never been to a rally. Like, and
Hmm.
I got to hit a couple, but like, yeah, I've I've had the experience and whatnot, but like, I haven't had a good summer of fucking going broke going to rallies. Like, so what has, I guess, circle back, like, what's been the moped scene kind of in your neighborhood because of Rona?
So, I mean, through 2020, we were meeting every Wednesday and getting together.
Hmm.
Um, actually, you had Brian from the Zeros on a couple
Yeah,
weeks
yeah,
ago.
yeah. Love Brian.
Uh, awesome dude. He lives in Ann Arbor. He used to come out to the weekly Wednesday rides,
Okay.
and like he was saying, with the he found his people, right?
Yeah.
The Zeros were his people.
Yep.
But Brian comes out and or came out and would ride. I'd come down, like I say, we rode every single Wednesday,
Hmm.
get together and wrench and stuff like that. 2021 was a little more taxing.
Hmm.
I'd moved about 20, 25 minutes out of Ipsy, but
Okay.
I'd still throw a bike in the back of my car and, shoot down there when I could. But it just seemed to fragment a little bit more. Um, Now it's been a lot of just riding by myself, just have a real shit day at work and just throw my helmet on. I've got a, Bluetooth comm on the helmet.
Hmm.
So fire up some music and just blast around.
Dude, there's nothing better. Like, I got to do that one time in December, and just like, it was like 50 degrees in Minnesota, and like, I was speeding home because it was, it gets dark just like in Michigan, like, and I got to ride around the lakes in St. Paul and like up. I was so fucking dude. That right after work ride, it can be very magical sometimes.
Oh, for sure. I've been really fighting myself to not pull the bike out and just rip it around a little bit right now just for a snow run,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, because
I
why
get
not?
a little sketched on that, but like, I keep on fucking with the zeros. I'm like, dude, we're gonna have a ride during your rally. They're like, don't bring a bike. We'll supply you with bikes. But yeah, dude, I'm fucking. If you don't think I'm gonna try to get somebody to go out on some moped rides during the zero swap meet, if it's above 35, I'm gonna go on a moped ride.
Yeah, I went to their swap at the shop a couple years ago and
Hmm.
bought a bike from Andy.
Of course.
So this has actually turned into like my new thing. Um, this is the Maximos, right? It's a Maxi N with a Tomos A35 slapped on there.
That's so
Um,
fucking rad. I love it.
and it's a super Andy build. I know a lot of people have heard him or have probably heard him say that cross threading is the poor man's Loctite.
Yeah,
I've,
yeah.
I've gone through and unfucked some things on the bike. I mean, I love you, Andy. You're an awesome dude. But no, it's when I bought that bike, man. I zipped it up and around. It was cold as shit. It was like 20 degrees, but
Oh, I can't do that. Like, I'm a wuss. I'll admit that.
no, it's good. I'm actually I'm stoked. I'm going to try to make it down to this year's swap at the shop. I should be able to make it out for at least a couple hours.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
I'm
close enough.
gonna I'm gonna drive in from Minnesota. I was thinking about flying, but I'm gonna go out to the Arcadia thing in Boston in May. So I'm like, yeah, I'll just drive, and I'm gonna bring some parts and try to sell some T-shirts. Maybe, who knows? Um, so you talked about um kind of getting out of the scene, coming back in. Um, I'm gonna hit pause. Second chance, Moped Podcast. And we're back because I had to ask a question because I am not. I've learned some boundaries in my life, people. Not many, but I've learned one. But so you talk about coming back in, and like, I really don't know much, and that's what fascinates me. And I'm trying to dig. I'm trying to get more Ghost Riders. I'm trying to get the Michigan like whole scene because like, you guys are my neighbors, but like, I don't know shit about you other than like the zeros, and they're in Ohio. Um, but I did see, and I had people hit me up because apparently people think I know things. Um, I know you guys recently lost a member, and I'm trying to gingerly ask, who was it and what happened?
So DJ was he's an awesome dude, and it's super hard. He was actually over the last 5 or 6 years, he's been patched in as a member.
Mm-hmm.
He's been on the periphery, or had been on the periphery for a while, and then just went full in. And I mean, he was really the glue that held everybody together. And like we had one of our members had some personal issues, and ended up having a relationship breakup, and Deej was right there. Hey man, come move in with me. His house became the de facto hangout place. Parties, dinners. It would be every week. You'd be like, hey man, I'm cooking this massive spread. Who wants to come on out? Everybody was always welcome.
Yeah.
Um, awesome fucking dude. Amazing artist. He was a tattoo artist. Had his
Mm-hmm.
own shop. Um, we had this thing where it was, anytime I'd come into town for a rally, he'd tattoo me, and then we'd hang out all weekend.
Fucking awesome,
Just,
dude.
I mean, the most genuinely nice person that you would ever meet.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's fucking hard, man. It's real hard.
Yeah. And dude, losing a buddy, no matter how you lose them, sucks. And like I'm somebody who's dealt with a lot of death in my life, and that's the best somebody can say. It fucking sucks. And like, does time heal all wounds? I don't know. It just fucking becomes different. That's about the best I can say. Like, I still like the other week, my dad's been dead for fucking 30, almost 35 years. No, 25 years. And I got fucking just enraged, pissed at him because he was an asshole and didn't go to his heart doctor appointments. Like, and like other friends like making poor life choices and fucking ODing, and like, because I'm in a 12-step program. I have been since I was 19 years old. I've watched friends fucking just chose death, and that sucks. And like, from like the random car accident to like just I mean, death sucks, but like, and I don't know. I'm going on my fucking spiel, and I'm sorry about your friend, dude. That's what I'm trying to say.
I really appreciate that. Like I say, we've all got little pieces, right? We've
Mm-hmm.
got I I it run of the mill too. I went out there a day early, and Deej did an awesome piece for me. So let me ask you this, right? You're wrenching on stuff. What's the
Yep.
one fucking part or tool you can never find?
10 millimeter, dude.
Right there.
Fucking awesome.
Our Lady of the toolbox there did a 10 millimeter deep well tattoo for me, because
Nice.
why not, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's one of those that it's I'll tell you what, it's awesome to have this and be able to look back and think about it, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I had a leather wallet made. I found an artist that did leather work. I hollered at Deej. I'm like, hey man, can you do this up for me? Just this design is what I'm thinking. So I sent that off. So it's a collaborative piece, right? But it's like every time I pull my wallet out to pay for gas or whatever, it's like, I got you,
Yeah. Yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
It's fucking
So
rad, dude. That's fucking rad. Like, and just because, like, yeah, I can go on about grief and loss and like acceptance and blue, whatever. But yeah, dude, like mopeds, dude. Like that's the fucking rad thing about this shit. Like, I don't understand the world. I don't understand how to keep friendships or relationships or anything like that. Like, but I understand how to put a bike together, like, kind of, and I understand how to make motors go. Like, that's what I love about mopeds, is what I'm saying. Like,
but on that friendship piece, right? Like
yep,
these stupid toys breed those friendships.
yeah, they do, yeah, they do.
Like that's the single biggest thing that I take away from this, or have taken away from this for nearly 20 years, is the
Mm-hmm.
community aspect. It's amazing to see what it does. You know what I mean? Like, I moved into my new neighborhood, and the guy 2 doors down from me, and you see your Detroit Moped Works shirt on. He's wearing one of those. I'm like, fuck's this guy got going on, right?
Yeah,
And then I see him tooling around on a Concord XKE, just this cherry Concord. Like,
nice, dude.
okay, well that's super cool. And I was walking the dog, a couple days later, about 6 blocks from my house, and there was a guy with an F-850 wrenching in his driveway.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's, touching base with these guys and like, hey man, if you ever need any help with this, man, hit me up. I've been doing this for ages, right?
Yeah.
There's that's one of the things when I'm trolling Moped Army, there's always folks looking for help in the area. I'm like, dude, hit me up.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to ask for any money on this. I want to help you learn. I want to help build the community, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not in it to make money or it's cheaper for me to go out in the garage and turn a wrench than it is to go and pay for therapy.
Oh yeah,
Right.
dude.
And if you can build that community and do something for somebody and, bring it around and then have them remember that, years down the road and, you come back into contact with that person, it's super rad. Or, you find a bike that, that you had or you had a hand in, like, the paperclip thing, right? Where I'm going to trade a paperclip and trade up and trade up and trade up and trade up, right?
Yep, yep.
So I scored, this was a number of years ago, an Urban Express for free.
Okay.
So I picked that up, got it running, tinkered around with it, traded it for a generic Minarelli,
Mm-hmm.
and didn't do anything to that. Traded that out, got an arcade machine out of it, and then traded that up to a motorcycle, sold the motorcycle and bought a moped again. But then I was looking in this, right, and I was at a rally. I want to say it was one of the Zeros rallies, or I'm sorry, the No-Nos rallies.
Okay.
And the bike that they were raffling off was one that I had owned at some point in this trading up and out and around. So I was talking to him like, hey, Brad, whatever happened to that pipe, right? Like, when you got that bike, it didn't have a pipe, but I threw that and the ignition to so-and-so. He's like, oh yeah, I bought that on this bike. So seeing all this stuff working together it's just, I don't know, man. It's really funny when you see that stuff happen.
No, dude, that's fucking. It's the small world of mopeds, is what it is. It's just funny shit like that. Like this summer, I went through a rough spot and just had to get on a road trip and went out to Richmond, end of the Baker's Dozen, and like I did not want to drive straight and sit and sleep in a fucking rest stop. So fucking Nina, who lives in Chicago, is like, oh, I found these dead animal parts, and I'm a taxidermist, and I don't think I can get them on the plane. Do you want to drop them off at my house? I'll give you a place to sleep for the night. I'm like, okay. Like that's just, it's silly moped stuff all the time. Like, I mean, the connection, you're 100% right. The connections you make is just, yeah. I have friends, like, I always tell people all the time, like, my house is open. Like, if you need a place to stay, if you want to come up in Minnesota during the summer, dude, come on up. You always got room here. Like, we'll go tear up some roads in St. Paul, because I still have to say St. Paul is one of the best cities to ride mopeds in the country. Like, everybody's got their cool shit, and I'm not trying to take away, but like, we have dirty, like, shitty river roads to like beautiful country riding out by vineyards. Like, and just, I love my city for riding mopeds.
Yeah, I've been out to the Twin Cities a couple times for work, and every time I've gone, I'm like, man, this is super awesome. This is a really cool place to hang out. I'd like to come back when I actually have time to, do stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah. That's the
Who,
hiccup.
who knows?
um,
Maybe I'll make it out there and rip around on a bike sometime.
yeah, dude, fucking anytime you're out, just hit me up. Like, seriously, I've got a garage full of hobbits. Like, um, but I ask people this, and I'll ask you two things. And have fun with this, please. Dumb is in the fun sense. What's the dumbest thing you've ever done on a moped?
Oh shit.
You're just like, how in the fuck did I get myself in this situation? Like, fun after the fact or anything like that?
Uh, so one of the dumbest things was, so like I say, I rode out to Red October 2, and it was like 120, 130 miles, but this was on a stock bike.
That's a good
Um,
click. Yeah.
so the ride out was great. The end of the rally, or the rally was winding down, and my ride was like, all right, man, let's throw your bike in the truck and let's head back to Kalamazoo. I don't know, man. I think we're good. I think I'm gonna ride back. I think I'm gonna ride back to Kalamazoo. So we
Oh,
tore out of Ann Arbor at 7, 7 or 8 o'clock at night.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a bunch of construction. So, and GPS on a phone wasn't really a thing.
Yeah.
And then it started downpouring.
Yeah.
It was like 4 o'clock in the morning before I got home. And of course, I had to be up the next morning for class and work and all that other shit, real
Yeah.
life. But
Yeah. Life kept going.
so, I mean, that was, dumb on my point. But I mean, the dumbest thing is getting involved in the first place, right?
That's the cheat code right there. Um, I find this. I don't know why I fell into this, especially after my accident, but like, what's the fastest you've ever been on a moped? Because I somehow got chasing speed a few years, like last summer, really on bikes. Like, have you ever been into building fast stuff?
No, man, like my biggest thing is I want to ride something that's, and this is kind of funny to say, reliable. Um, I'd rather build something reasonable or mild,
Yeah.
that I know I can just beat the shit out of and not have to worry about, riding on the bleeding edge.
Yeah.
That said, the Maximos that I picked up from Andy, I mean, it may have been that it seemed faster because I didn't have GPS or anything, but it was 50-ish, but on a
Hmm.
rigid with shit tires and
Yeah.
half-assed front end that's all wobbly, missing bearings and shit.
Yeah, dude. Like 50 on a rigid is fucking enough.
So, but I mean, I hate myself. So, I mean, I rode a 40T for like 7 years. I had a
Yeah.
rigid 103 for a long time.
Oh Jesus. Yeah.
It's it's like every time I'm like, oh, I'm riding the sofa down the road, on the 50V or whatever, and it's like, I'd rather have a vinyl enema. Where's a
Yeah.
rigid something, you know what I mean?
That's fucking awesome. Um, what's your 2022 plans for mopeds? Because like we're past the first of the year. I think at least my little outlook it is I'm not in a club, not affiliated, so like I can only just project and see what the rest of the world's doing. I think rallies are coming back this coming summer. We're always seeing the calendar kind of sporadically get filled up. What are your plans for the summer? I know you got that little newborn in your life, so I mean, I realize dad's got to stay home a little bit, but
Yeah, she's 2 months, a little over 2 months old now, so it's gonna impact some stuff. But I mean,
and
I'm just gonna
congratulations, I will say
thank
that.
you, appreciate that.
Yeah, dude.
Just my plan is to hang out in the garage and wrench on some stuff here and there, and then anything that's close by, it's going to be just a shot down for a day kind of thing. But I've thrown a bike in the back of Choppy and you know drive two stupid vehicles around. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's my game plan for anything that's close by.
Right on. Yeah, dude, I'm gonna try to get to something other than the swap meet, but like I gotta get it to something in Michigan because I did ride with the zeros in KMR. Like zeros in KMR did meet up, and I'll say this: the Irish Hills of Michigan are fucking gorgeous. Like I was
Hmm.
thoroughly impressed. Terrible roads, I will say that. Like I've been on minimum maintenance roads that are smoother than the roads in Michigan, but beautiful countryside. I'll say that. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
you're just
It's
nodding. There's no argument with that.
Look, man. I can't tell you how many tires I've blown in my cars from catching potholes or bent rims on mopeds. To I mean, yeah, Michigan roads are awesome. I love them.
Dude, I tell you what, you gotta come to St. Paul because like they don't like we have some of the smoothest roads in all the metro. Like there's like one I felt kind of bad because last year they had kind of an impromptu swap meet, I guess. The castle rollers, and like I showed up to it and it was cool. It was everybody's first getting back together, and there's some people down from St. Cloud, and sh- I don't know why they didn't lead a ride, but like I ended up leading a ride of like 7, 8 people, and like I took them on the worst road of St. Paul, and like it was still the roads were still frozen, so everything was just fucking just jackhammer bumpy, which I was fine with. I was used to by then, but like one guy's like, dude, I had to get up on my pedals because it was so fucking rough. I'm like, it builds character. Um,
Nah,
uh,
it's
dude, it's mopeds. It is what it is, man. Um, so yeah, dude, I can't thank you enough for coming on Second Chance Moped Podcast. We'll get you posted here. We'll chit chat a little bit afterwards. But yeah, thanks again. And I don't just say this, people. Like, I mean this. Like, come hang out. I'll fucking throw you on a dirty hobbit. We'll fucking ride all over the cities. So again, thanks everybody for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and all that good shit. Repost every once in a while. It makes me feel happy. And thank you for all the iTunes listens, or Apple Pod, or whatever the hell they're calling it now. Yeah, I can't thank you enough for coming on Second Chance Moped podcast. Coughing. And don't forget, mopeds are dumb.
Yes, they are.
All right, talk to you later, my guy. Bye.
Later.